Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight I'm taking a look at the Hasbro San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Marvel Legends Defenders set. And there's 5 figures in this box. No time to yak this slip cover on the actual box. You can see Luke, you can see Colleen, you can see Danny Rand, which are essentially the 3 new figures of the set. And then you see Ninja. Down here you have the hand, Defenders in graffiti. No alcohol, no fighting, no pushing and shoving, loitering sign out here, which is essentially all the Defenders do, really. I was gonna say both sides of the box are exactly the same. It's the same outside, but looking at the silhouette, there's Jessica Jones, there's Daredevil, and different ninja silhouettes. And the whole box is a shiny silver, so the lights are really screwing with it. That and reflections. Hello. Both ends of the box themselves, you can see the no hand, which is kind of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle-ish, I feel like. But it's the outside box. Who cares? Let's see what's inside this. Oh, now this thing isn't worth a damn. Getting the slipcover off, on the back of the box you see silhouettes of Jessica, Luke, and Daredevil, how they're posed in the package, but, you know, on the backside through the window. On the end you get a synopsis of the Defenders on Netflix. This end is pretty much the same as the slipcover. And then inside the box you have all the characters sitting in nice little seats. It's actually 3-dimensional, the subway doors and coming out and the bar across the top. You get cool little things like a Shawarma Palace flyer down on the floor, newspaper from Battle of New York, Defend card. Danny's actually sitting in front of a Rand Enterprises ad. And then across the top there's references to other things in the Netflix shows like Trish Talk, The Royal Dragon Restaurant, Metro General Hospital, Alias Investigations, Blake Tower, and Chikara Dojo. So pretty neat packaging, but don't get me wrong, I appreciate the effort Hasbro puts into making the packages for San Diego and exclusives special in a way, you know? But holy moly, there's a lot of dead space in here. I can already see that Colleen's sword is bent in the package. It's neat, but one of the things that probably talked me out of getting this at the show would be lugging this thing around all day. That may just be me though, I'm a lazy bastard. But I'm gonna get this open and see how the figures stack up. I'm especially excited to see the ones with the new sculpts. And there we go, all out of the package, and there is quite a bit of reuse here, but the new stuff, the reuse is cool, it totally makes sense, but the new stuff here, I think I kind of like it. Okay, let's go with the most reuse first. So let's start with Daredevil. We essentially got this whole body before, which is kind of a shame because his costume either changed from the end of season 2 to Defenders or somewhere in there. If you just look at it on the shelf, you'll think, oh, he fits in with the Defenders. But you start nitpicking, there's some differences. But there is texture all over the body. It's amazing to look at and, you know, feel. It's very tactile. But for some reason, when it goes to the softer plastic at the thighs and the arms, it's lost some of that detail from the original mold. I don't know if it's degradation or a different kind of plastic, but for some reason it doesn't match the rest of the body. But the new part is the head it comes with in the package. We'll take a look at his masked head later. And this is a very good likeness, actually. My only problem is this whole new thing of the hairpiece being separate. I feel like it's in the right place here, but he's very foreheady, but the face print does work very well here. I feel like his beard scruff favors his right side more than his left. It's kind of teeter-tottering over there, but again, very lifelike. Now the second figure that reuses a lot of old parts is Danny Rand, surprisingly. This whole body is the Bruce Banner that was in some 4-pack that I never got. And then the arms, the jacket, and the legs are actually from Coulson, and it may have been before that too, but that's where I first remember it is Coulson. And it's an okay suited body. It's kind of scrawny, kind of skinny, but honestly, Iron Fist in the Netflix series, he is a little bit scrawny. The flat hand and the fist may be reused from the Marvel Legends Iron Fist, but I haven't, or at least I don't think I've seen this sneaker sculpt before. I like it, it's nice, but I feel like it should have a little bit of color to it. They just bright white. And then the new sculpt for the head. From certain angles, it looks like Danny Rand, but from other angles, it looks like Danny Masterson. I do like the curly hair they put on here. I like the face printing, but again, it seems like a lot of forehead. Next, reuse, but it's mixed and matched, is Jessica Jones. Now, we got a Jessica Jones in the Netflix series of Marvel Legends, so this is reuse of her head, her pants, her boots. This is Jessica Jones' torso from underneath her jacket, and then the arms are reused from Mary Jane. I was gonna say Netflix Elektra, but her forearms are really thick. And then, like I mentioned, the head is reused from that first Marvel Legends Jessica Jones. Her hair is a little bit more matte. It's not as shiny as that original release, but the print pretty much matches perfectly. And it's good. It matches Ritter for the most part. It doesn't quite get her nose, but it's damn close. And then Colleen Wing. She is 88%. I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass now. 88% new sculpt. I dig her hoodie. It's zipped down. It has the little design on it, the wrinkles on the arms. The hood hanging over the back. Her hips and thighs are reused from Netflix Elektra, but below that is all new sculpt again. Her pants are rolled up to mid-calf. There's some wrinklage there. Wrinklage? I don't know. And then her shoe sculpt, which this time around does have a little bit of color. They painted her shoelaces, so that's appreciated. And then up to the head, again, like the rest of this set, the likeness is almost there. You can see it from spots, but I don't feel like it nails Colleen. And I'll say the face print here isn't as crisp as, say, Jessica's. It's a little bit fuzzy. It's a little bit more sparse. And Colleen in the show always had more hanging down hair in her face, out of the ponytail. So it's there, but it's not quite there. And then there's Luke Cage. I think he's 100% new sculpt. I'm not counting that 2-pack because it hasn't been officially released or solicited or even mentioned from Hasbro. So as far as the general public goes, this is the first time we're seeing this sculpt. The pants seem a little bit familiar, but I can't place it. But he has a nice, powerful sculpt. I'm digging the upper chest. The arms look muscly. I like the boots. They seem a little bit small for his build. And again, no paint applied here, but they do look good. And then get up to the head, I see a lot of Mike Coulter here. I see a lot of Luke Cage, but he also doesn't have that hairpiece on top. On the other figures, it may be the hair throwing it off to me in my eye. I'm a hair kind of guy, even though I have none. That's the feature I notice most whenever I see anybody. So seeing no hair here, I automatically think, oh, that's Luke Cage from the Netflix show. Exact. Perfect. I've always thought the sculpt for the Netflix Daredevil was a little bit boxy, a little bit up to the shoulders, a little bit square, but it works for what it needs to be. But like I mentioned, you have all this nice texture up here in the torso, the shoulders, going down to the crotch, the hips, and then you get to right here and it goes flat almost. Going back to the first release, it's not as prominent as up here, but you can see it a little bit better than you can on the new version. And when I switched heads, I nearly mixed these up several times, but the old one has the stamp on the back of the leg. The new one doesn't. Danny, like I said, a little bit scrawny, and his legs aren't really meant for kung fu poses. You can get to about right there. So there's no high kicks. A lot of punching going on, a lot of chopping, but no kicking. Also, I don't know if they're all like this or something's happened to the mold at the factory of this body. It's been reused several times, but there's a rectangle of plastic right here that just sticks out. Looks like a peg, and I'm not quite sure if that's, you know, something that didn't get removed or what's going on there. Jessica, I don't really have a lot to gripe about here. I wish her hair laid a little bit flatter. It's still made for that jacket coming up, and even with the jacket, it kind of poofed out a little bit more than I cared for. And let the jokes fly. There's some kind of stain right there. It almost looks like adhesive, but it's a white substance on her chest area. I don't know how else to say that. Colleen, I've got a fused knee at the top right there. This one, the lower knee, is hard to move, but it does go. I don't know if it's D10's holding it, the new sculpt on the old knee, I don't know. But this, I cannot get the upper. Never mind. It was D10s. They're tight as hell in there. And I don't remember if it was an issue with Elektra, but you rotate the legs out, they rotate on the hip ball coming out, and it gaps up really, really bad. But you can just turn the leg inward, and then rotate the thigh out, and it closes it up. Not bad. And then new sculpt for the arm. We'll get into elbows when we get to articulation. When it comes to Luke, like I said, very powerful. He'll punch your lights out. But I kind of feel like the torso, like Daredevil, is a little bit square, but I also think because of all these wrinkles here, it's tight in the chest and it's looser as he goes down, so it's not really form-fitting. I feel like the hips should be a little bit more narrow, or this a little bit more broad, or I'm used to comic book proportions and this is more realistic proportions. So griping about that may be all in my head.
Are any of this really real?
I didn't realize his watch was a separate piece until later on. His right hand does like to pop out. I don't know if the 2-pack has swappable hands. I haven't got it yet because it doesn't exist yet. Right, Hasbro? But the watch being separate is cool and lends to reuse for this body later on. To save on time, I'm not going to go through the articulation of this figure. I did this in a review already, but good ab crunch, good neck, double elbow comes up most of the way, double knee comes up most of the way. His big ass calves get in the way. He does have rotation above the ankle, kick forward, kick back, kick out. Danny, his neck piece is really tough to move, but he can bury his chin, he can look up, tilt, swivel, hinge the swivel at the shoulder, does not come up very far. Rotates around, swivel at the bicep, double knee, or double elbow comes all the way up. Hinge, swivel, hinge in the torso, good range forward, a little bit back. Ball hip all the way forward, back, out, not so great. Swivel at the thigh, double knee, kicks his own ass. Hinge at the ankle, back, forward facing pin for rocker. For Jessica, another figure I've already been over once, but nice neck articulation. Elbow only comes to 90. Good ball joint in the torso. Kick. Nice out, kicks her own ass. The boot cuff comes up so it gets out of the way. For Colleen, we get a ball up into the head going down to a hinge in the neck, but there is a large, very large socket in her head. So you can get shift forward a lot, shift back. She can bury her chin. She can look all the way up. Lots of tilt because of the way the socket's designed. Swivel. Hinge and swivel at the shoulder comes up, swivels around. Hinge and swivel at the elbow, but hinge and swivel at the wrist, because she's a sword wielder, it should go up and down. It's the same on the left, so there's not really a sword hand. Ball in the torso goes forward a little bit, back, tilt, tilt, swivel. Ball going out to the hip, all the way forward. Back, not so much. Out, pretty nice. Swivel at the thigh. Double knee comes up most of the way. Hinge at the ankle goes back, forward facing pin for rocker. For Luke Cage, hinge going up to a ball joint in the neck, can bury his chin. Look up, a little bit of tilt, not a lot. Swivel, hinge and swivel at the shoulder, all the way up. Swivels around, swivel at the bicep. Double elbow, comes most of the way up. Hinge, swivel, hinge at the abs, forward one click, back one click. I didn't think that moved for a second, but there is a swivel at the waist. Ball going out to the hip, all the way forward, back, out most of the way, swivel at the thigh. Double knee comes most of the way up. Ankle goes back, goes forward. Again, pants leg, and forward facing pin for a kind of a rocker joint. For accessories, Daredevil comes with his billy clubs, and those two plug together to form a longer club. And those also plug into the holster on his hip. Oop, that went all the way through. Those are in there tight, doesn't come out. He also comes with an alternate masked head. Again, this is exactly the same as the one we already got. It's a nice sculpt. I don't know exactly where we saw this, but in the Defenders series, it's blatantly different. It comes up over his ears, so this doesn't exactly match that. But swapping the head, pops right off. This pops right on, no problem, no pressure. The other accessory is Colleen's sword and sheath. Not a bad sculpt, we've seen this before, but the sheath isn't familiar to me. But there's been a lot of Marvel Legends, and I'm way behind. The sword came out of the package, bent a little bit. It's a very soft sword. And the sheath itself is rubbery, but it goes in nicely. It fits in there. You can have her holding it with this little peg on the side. I feel like there should be a slot somewhere, like on her back, but nothing there. But you can put that little tab in her hand. You gotta kind of force the thumb around, and she does hold it. Before getting into comparisons, if you wanted to, this pops off also, and the ball joint actually matches the Matt Murdock head. So if you want that, switch the hands out also. That works pretty good. You can't pop it all the way down or he loses his neck. For some reason, they made Matt's head way deeper than Danny's head. Because you can put Danny's head, fits right on there, but way too much neck. And if I had a Tony Stark head, I would show what that looks like on here too, because with the sneakers, no tie, very business casual. This could be a nice Tony Stark body too. For comparison, here they all are together. I feel like all the heights match up pretty well for what I think of whenever I think of the Netflix Defenders. Danny likes to lean to the left. I don't know, that's legs straight. Something's shorter here. Here's this set's Daredevil and the Marvel Legends Netflix series Daredevil. Exact same thing. Here's this set's Jessica with the Netflix series Jessica Jones. I cut the hood off a Star Wars Rogue One Jyn on her scarf thing, and it works perfectly. I'm a bigger fan of the jacket look, but the other one's growing on me as I'm doing this review. Here's Colleen with the Netflix series Elektra. Now for Elektra, that's not her original arms. I did a swap with the farm boy Luke. Give her double elbows, give her a little bit more range of motion. And I also forgot to mention that Colleen reuses Elektra's hands. That's the reason she has the claw here, because Elektra holds her sai in her fingers like that. Here's Danny with Coulson. The sneakers give him a little bit of height. But also here's Danny with the Marvel Legends Iron Fist. Actually, the comic figure, which this is my favorite one, is a little bit scrawny too, so this kind of works. And then for some reason I can't find my comic book Marvel Legends Luke Cage, but here he is with the Marvel Legends Iron Fist. So he looks good with the Netflix series, but you could also use him as a modern day type Luke Cage from the comics. I believe this is the same body that the comic book Luke Cage uses, and it's not that far off. That's believable. And then finally, here's Luke with Gus. So, what do you guys do all day? I fight in court, and then I fight in the streets. I mostly fight. I train people to fight, and then I fight. I've been trained to fight, so I fight. I fight, but I mostly drink. Little lady, you and me's gonna get along just fine. So at the end of the day, I was planning on getting this set anyway. I'm a big fan of the Defenders series. I'm a big fan of most of the Netflix series. Sure, it slows down here and there. They're filling for time to fill out the however many episodes there are a season. But when it's on, it's on. And that's the parts I look forward to, when it's on. There's reuse here. I would have liked to have seen the Daredevil costume a little bit different, or, you know, put Stick in here, or Misty. Although I'm kind of glad they're waiting for Misty, since she's, you know, evolving more into her comic book character this season of Luke Cage. So give me a Misty down the road when she has the robot arm and such. I would have liked to seen Danny in an actual costume, even though he doesn't have an actual costume yet. But from the end of the Defender series, he was in the green and yellow jumpsuit. I kind of wish we got that, but I kind of feel like we may get that later, when Iron Fist is more fleshed out in whatever Netflix series. There's enough changes to Jessica to justify getting her again. Luke Cage, like I said, the surprise here was blown with the 2-pack with Claire already showing up overseas. Perfect World, he would have been in a yellow shirt here, but I understand them putting the yellow shirt in that 2-pack to sell it better. And really, when it comes down to it, if you get the San Diego set, that can be your Netflix Luke Cage, and then if you want a comic book Luke Cage, modern era, you can use the 2-pack yellow Luke Cage in your comic display. But I think the big draw to this set is Colleen. She's 88% new sculpt. I feel like we won't see her anywhere at retail. So again, a good get for this set. Now I see a lot of comments of, this is a shitty exclusive. I don't know why they did a whole Netflix thing for the San Diego exclusive. But you know what? There would be way more negative comments if it was something, you know, spectacularly comic book or something, and then everybody would be like, not everyone can go to San Diego. Am I going to miss it on Hasbro Toy Shop? I'm going to be clicking all day. So it's a lose-lose. But if you're going to do an exclusive, some reuse is the way to go. We already know we're getting some of the characters outside of this box set. I feel like Colleen is the biggie here. Plus, with some cutting and some, you know, fine-tuning surgery to the box, you can get those plastic trays out of the subway car. And then you can kind of use it as a diorama. It's cardboard, yeah, but it looks fairly nice for a background if that's what you want it for. So a good set if you're into the Netflix series or wanting different versions of most of the characters you'll have in plastic form probably soon. If you like the review, comment, like, subscribe. I'll catch you on the Fwoosh.